Live from the Business Radio X studio inside Renaissance Bank, the bank that specializes in understanding you. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of North Fulton Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and folks, we are broadcasting from inside Renaissance Bank in beautiful Alpharetta, Georgia. And if you are tired of the mega bank crush your soul experience, you're tired of trying to find a live person at your big bank, Renaissance Bank may be the bank for you. They have over almost 200 offices around the Southeast ready to serve you, and they serve in a personal way. And I don't say that just from my own experience. I say that from listening to the clients that I've referred to them. They're big enough to handle pretty much any need you can throw at them, but they're small enough to deliver those services in a personal way. To learn more, go to renaissancebank.com and find one of their local offices and give them a call. Renaissance Bank, understanding you, member FDIC. And now I want to welcome Stephanie McGregor. Stephanie is Managing Director at SMG Talent Partners. Stephanie, welcome.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So let's talk a little bit about you and SMG Talent Partners. How are you serving folks out there?
Sure. Yeah. SMG Talent Partners is a recruitment agency specific for the construction industry. So we help construction companies find their next great high impact hire. We support them with leadership roles, manager roles, senior level roles, and we also place people in trades positions as well. We are a nationwide search agency, and I got into kind of the recruiting staffing world in the way most people do, just got recruited myself into it. And someone told me once that if you work a year in recruiting and staffing, then you're a lifer, and people just really enjoy what they do, connecting people and work together. So that's what happened to me. And I have worked in this industry in different capacities in software, recruitment companies, and construction and manufacturing, and just really love construction. So that's what brought me to SMG.
Got it. Now, you said something there that's interesting, that once you're in for a year, you're in for life. Why is that? Why is recruiting such a magnet for those that start in that career field?
I would say it's a little bit addictive. So I think everybody who's been in it for a little while, they have these amazing stories where your impact with somebody has helped change their life. I have a person that I can remember early on that I helped find a job. It was a skilled trade position. They were brand new, just got there, went through their training and programs, and so it was a very entry-level job. And we talked to a lot of people all the time, and this person came back years later, and he said, "Oh, I just want to show you my car. You know, when I met you, things were really rough for me. I was trying to turn things around. Now I bought this car. My girlfriend's pregnant. Life is great, and I just wanted to say thank you." And I think a lot of people have those stories that there's a lot of headache in recruiting and in this world, but those stories where you make a really great impact on somebody's life with meaningful work and you connect organizations that are doing good work with great people, then you chase that over and over again.
So Stephanie, you've got some leadership experience that has really informed everything that's come after that, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Talk about your story.
Okay, yeah. My story, I love sharing the story. I had a somewhat rocky entry into the leadership world myself. In 2015, I was promoted to my first leadership role. I was a sales rep, and I was promoted to a sales manager. And I was excited. Things were going really well. I was getting a lot of high praise from my manager, my team. Everything was great. Life is good. Then in the summer of 2016, my company went through doing a Glint survey. And in my Glint survey, I was very surprised to find out that only 33% of my team would recommend me as a manager. And so that really hurt. And I was blindsided by it. I really thought things were going great. People were making money. We were one of the top performing teams in the company. And that wasn't the only little bit of feedback that wasn't great in that first survey. So that kind of took me down the road of, okay, what does a great leader look like? What do they do differently from everybody else? And I know it's possible, but what does it look like to lead a team to both high performance and high satisfaction? Because I've always heard that you take care of your people and they take care of your customer. And so I knew that I could do that, and I wanted to do that. And so after a lot of work and reflection and asking for help, by the time in fall of 2019, by the time I've had multiple surveys and worked on things and took feedback, I got to a point where 80% of my team would recommend me as a manager. So that experience led me down the road of, okay, I enjoy what I'm doing, and I want to add a leadership aspect to that where I'm helping I'm helping organization build out their leadership teams.
Oh, that's a pretty remarkable story from another number of different perspectives. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't sound like you got a lot of help from your organization in that journey. Did I misread that?
Actually, I would say so. I don't think I was quite ready when I took it on. But after I got this survey, I did get a fair amount of investment and support from my organization. So the way the survey first came out, I think everyone was surprised because the way that company, or at least our team, dispersed the surveys is that your whole leadership team was on the call with you. And so I remember one of my peers saying, I'm just really surprised that Stephanie's getting got that kind of feedback. And thank goodness it wasn't a video call because my face was beet red. I was so embarrassed. But I think once they saw that and they wanted me to succeed, that there was some investment from the company in my growth. And so that's why I feel so strongly, and I talk so much about feedback and how important feedback is, especially for new leaders.
So how do you translate that experience, which thanks for sharing that, by the way, how do you translate that experience into how you work with clients and how you counsel them?
Yeah, and I think counsel is a good word. We say very consultative. So one thing that I talk about when I talk with clients is I'm not looking to fill a role for you. I can't just look at your job posting and say, I have the ideal candidate. We're really trying to build out teams for our construction partners with the right leadership, with the people, trying to recognize those soft skills in the leaders that we bring in. Because the name of the game in today's world, no matter what industry, construction, no matter where you are, is retention. So you want your best folks to stay, and you can have all the ping pong tables or great culture in general, but really people want to stay for very good leaders. And so we take a very consultative approach to making sure that the person that we bring in is going to be someone that is the right fit for their team of peers, for the needs of the people who report to them, and making sure that we are finding somebody that is going to really add a lot of value to where that company is that day and for their long-term goals of growth.
Folks, we're here chatting with Stephanie McGregor. Stephanie is the managing director at SMG Talent Partners. So as I understand it, Stephanie, SMG is you and another partner have come out and started SMG in recent months after experience at another stop along the way when it comes to recruiting. Why SMG Talent Partners? And what was the impetus to start your firm and concentrate specifically as you have in construction and solar and renewables and what have you?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's easy for people to fall in love with construction. So everyone I talk to, there are very few places and industries that you can work in where it's very tangible. You see the results of your work as a building goes up, as your day-to-day is very measurable, and it's very exciting. And so when I had my first opportunity to work in the construction industry, I got wrapped up in that excitement. And then all of that excitement only amplified when I moved into working more with our skilled trades offices. And so one thing that I loved about the skilled trades is that I feel it's important for me to work in an environment and work in industries that I would advocate my kids to do one day. I've got a 1-year-old son now. And in my generation, when I was growing up, it was you have to have that bachelor's degree. Everyone wants your bachelor's degree. You got to go to college. And this exposure to the skilled trades was just so different for me. And I saw the excitement around it. I saw the career path. You go to school for a much lower cost of entry. You get a very tangible skill. And then you have all these different directions and ways to go. And that's really cool. And so that's why construction in particular. And then Jan, who is my recruiting manager, but more, I speak to her more like a partner. She had a very good and strong experience working in the construction and solar industry. And so she owned her own business before. She's been in that space for a long time, has a very strong network in that area. And solar and renewables is particularly important to me because I'm a big clean energy advocate. It's just important for me to be a part of the solution. And so what's been really fun about that is that folks who are looking for work in there are very mission driven as well. They're there to make money. They're there to build their career, but they're also there to be a part of this clean energy solution. And that's a lot of fun. So I'm marrying a personal passion of mine, relying on the network and the talents of Jan and her team to kind of work and combine my work and the personal passion together. So that's very exciting. On top of that, it's just a really cool time to be in solar and renewables. So there's a big investment into clean energy. As you can probably, and if you're watching the news, you've seen some of the huge investments that they have. There's a lot of innovation happening in that area, and that's just because there's money there. And so that's really fun to be around all those thought leaders and folks doing a lot of cool work. The solar industry alone is expected to grow annually 14% between now and 2028. So there's a lot of important work that is going to be done over there. And there's definitely this conversation of there's a gap in how much we need to accomplish with how many people we have to accomplish that. So SMG is one of our goals is to try to be an advocate and support for other folks who want to get into that space, minority women who might not be as represented today, to get them interested and excited to go into the solar renewable space and take advantage of that as a career.
So I don't know if I've got my math right in my head, but 14% a year over the next 4 or 5 years, that's double, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on right there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sounds like a lot of opportunity there. I'm curious about the attributes that your companies are looking for. And then here's that word again, what you counsel them that they need to be looking for. Those can be two different things, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I would start, I guess, by saying that for any leaders out there right now, there's a lot of pressure on leaders today. That we're in such a unique environment where everything is out there on social media. People are talking constantly about the bad manager versus the good leader. And so there's just a lot of exposure. And so leaders have to be everything they were before. They have to be innovative. They have to be analytical. They need to be resilient. They need to perform. At the end of the day, we have numbers and goals and expectations that everybody has to hit. But the conversation more recently is around those soft skills that really build teams that last and grow for a long time. So adaptability, humility, and empathy. I think if you were to Google top attributes of leaders today, humility and empathy would probably come up 90% of the time. And so those are tougher to measure skills, right? You don't look at someone's resume and say, oh, that's an empathetic leader. So it's a lot harder to spot those people. And in the modern recruiting process, there are some gaps there where we're using a lot of technology. There's AI, there's software, but sometimes those things can miss a great opportunity with a great candidate because there's no way of, yet anyway, as far as I know, there's no way of looking at someone's data and information on them to know if they have these soft skills and these experiences.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and that really requires a little bit of not just change in what you're looking for, but change in how you evaluate candidates. And when you're talking about soft skills, it's not something always quantitative that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about the challenges of finding talent. This is a recurring theme, and talk about how you make that as easy as one can make it, given that it's a difficult task, that you make it much easier for your clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That conversation's not going away. Things our organizations have so much on their plate right now when it comes to just everything, but it impacts their hiring. So in a post-COVID world, expectations and things are different. People are looking for flexibility, remote work, hybrid work. They're looking for more out of their organizations. Not to mention legislation is hitting the hiring team. So our partners there in solar, they recently saw the impact of the Inflation Reduction Act, which added apprenticeship requirements for them. So they're trying to juggle all these things. And expectations of them have never been higher. The stakes are very high because, just like talking about the leaders, everything is out there. And as much as people, I think, don't really think about it this way, your hiring experience is part of your brand, and it has to be treated that way. And so if you're just starting to hire and you don't really have a good strategy in place for it, you're leaving yourself open to people having poor experiences with you and damaging your brand. And we partner with companies to ensure that there's brand protection there, that we're helping them make sure that people who are engaging with them are having a great experience. And then one thing that is, I would say, this has been this way for a very long time, is that many times top talent and some of the best fits for a role are not necessarily looking for their next opportunity yet. So there are those passive candidates. So you probably talk to friends or people with an organization. They say, "Oh, I'm taking a new role," and you're like, "Wait a minute, I didn't even know that you were looking for a new role." Well, I wasn't, but a fantastic opportunity came to me, and I couldn't say no. And so we work with our customers to build out these ideal candidate profiles to help court and attract these great candidates to their roles.
Folks, again, we're here chatting with Stephanie McGregor, and Stephanie is with SMG Talent Partners. The dynamics of the construction industry, you talked about, I want to contrast that between the comments you made about renewables, solar, and in that area, you've got growth built in year after year, it seems, given the demand. But construction, what does that look like over the next few years in terms of the ebb and flow of needed roles?
Their construction is expected to grow significantly, and the gap between who is available to fill these roles to get this necessary work done is just ever expanding. I think the one that's highlighted the most, of course, in the news and everything, is that trades gap. So the trades gap is broadening, and people are really very smart. People are looking at solutions to get more people interested. I think the conversation has changed too. I went to college. People are more likely to encourage their children to get into a skilled trades position. But even in some of the other positions, I just heard somebody use this term the other day. But we have the older generation leaving. They called it the silver tsunami, leaving and leaving gaps in skills and knowledge for us to meet the demand in the commercial space, in the residential, the kind of the multi-unit residential space is a huge area of growth and expansion all across the country. So there's definitely a deficit of what we need to get accomplished what we want to and keep up with the growth. So everyone is trying to figure out how to make that happen so that we can capitalize on the investments, the incentives, and just the need in general.
Let's talk for a minute to those out there that are working themselves up the ladder, furthering themselves in their career, and are looking to take on their first leadership role? What advice can you give to those individuals?
Okay, yeah, that's a fun one. If I think back to 2015, when I took on that role, and what kind of set me up for success really has to go back to that culture of feedback. So if I were thinking about taking on a leadership role or had just taken in a leadership role, I would try to advocate and solicit feedback from my team, but also advocate for a culture of feedback in my organization. Because I imagine what would have happened if I didn't get this feedback. So if I didn't get this feedback and all I was hearing was praise from my managers, praise from my team, we were performing, everyone was making money, life was good, then I would just keep doing what I was doing because it seemed to be working. And then I might take a new role within the organization. Maybe I leave the organization and someone sees my resume and they say, oh my gosh, look at all this growth. Your NOI is off the charts. I want you to come do that over here. And I bring over these poor kind of leadership skills. Then I'm just creating a poor environment for employees somewhere else. And I think that happens to people and they don't even mean to. It's not like they mean to do things people don't like, but they never heard that they don't like it. So I would, number one, for sure, solicit that feedback and advocate for a culture of feedback. And then when you get that feedback, putting your ego aside and saying, okay, good or bad, I'm growing from this for sure. I think I hear this and I see this when we've seen other surveys and then feedback come back where it's easy to say, oh, that person doesn't like me. This team is upset because of this. It's a company problem. It's not a me problem. And then what's the point of the feedback? You're not doing anything with it and you're not growing from it. So it doesn't help you either. So that's what I would say. And then one other thing that is so essential for new leaders, anyone new at anything really, is trying to find a mentor. I had a really fantastic mentor. This was like a life-changing person. I think she made me a better wife, like a better parent. She was a people developer. But the thing is, she thought very differently than me. So I'm a very analytical person. I am pretty black and white in my communication style. I don't read between the lines very well. She was a very different person in that thought process. And so she helped me see things from other people's perspective and helped me grow and really be a kind of an empathetic leader and a service leader. And that was huge for me. So unfortunately, sometimes people don't have an opportunity where their immediate leader is a great mentor. But if you hear that someone's a great manager, if you like what from someone, ask them, what are they doing? How did they get there? What books do they read? What resources do they have? Who else would they talk to? All the basic things of networking. And if you go at it in a genuine way that you want to learn from that person, you'd be surprised at how quick people just want to jump in and help. They want to be part of the solution. And then for SMG, and for me personally, we actually have an opportunity for new leaders within the solar industry to come together to learn about those soft skills of leadership and to network together with other folks who are either coming up in management. They've been recognized by someone at their company as a future leader. Maybe they want to be a future leader, so they want to invest in themselves, or maybe they just took their first role. And so we get together. It's called Solar Leadership Network. It's 5 1-hour sessions once a week, only about 6 to 10 people at a time, ideally 8. So you make some really good connections. And we can learn about those things that it takes to be a really strong people manager and people leader. And then the other benefit is having a network of folks later on to lean on as you go through your own journey to say, I'm having this issue, anybody else run up against this? And they're not within your direct organization. So it's just a great way to help these people who are doing such good work grow and get just a little bit closer to where they want to be than I was when I first started.
Yeah, wow, that's great. So, Stephanie, we've talked about the industries you serve, construction, renewables, solar. I think it'd be great at this point if you could share a success story, one that helps illustrate the great work that you do. You don't have to mention names, of course, but just situations that where you've made a big impact.
Yeah, I'd love to share a story. I think when I think about where we perform well, we were partnered with a company that I would say was a mid-size company in a very high growth mode. And they were taking on some work in almost across the country. They were an East Coast customer, almost across the country, really didn't have any kind of understanding of that area, no name recognition in the area. And they had some pretty tight deadlines to hire folks of all different capacities. So they were looking for folks in the trades. They were looking for some management for out there. And so we were able to hop in, and we had worked with them before in the past in their East Coast operations. But we were able to jump in and start presenting them with candidates that had never heard of them, but were very excited at the opportunity to help them build out that area. And so they performed so well with that customer that they were working with out there. They ended up growing and are now in, I want to say they're up to 12 states all across the U.S. We've helped them in multiple locations. And it's all because we had built that trust and that relationship where they were that day. Mm-hmm. And so they knew when it came to areas that they weren't comfortable in, that they weren't quite as familiar with, that we could hop in and help them there too. And that's just fun. When we're still in touch with a lot of people that we placed, and we're happy to do that for good companies, for good people. And it's just a win across the board.
Yeah. Wow. That's fantastic. Stephanie, this has been great. And I can't imagine that there aren't folks upon hearing this interview that would want to be in touch with you, learn more about your services. So let's give them a place to connect.
Sure. Yeah. Connect with me. You can find me on LinkedIn, Stephanie McGregor. Type in SMG. It should bring me right up. My email is Stephanie with a PH, STEPHANIE at smgtalentpartners.com. And absolutely would love to connect with anybody.
Terrific. Stephanie McGregor with SMG Talent Partners. Stephanie, congratulations on the great work you're doing. We were delighted we could shine the spotlight on it today, and we look forward to hearing of more success from you.
Yeah, thanks, John. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me be on here, and I got to say thank you to Greg Burkhalter, the LinkedIn guy. Talks all about personal branding and got us in touch. So thanks, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Big shout out to the LinkedIn guy. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks again, Stephanie. Hey, folks, just a couple of quick things before we let you go for today. I've got a book out. It's called The Generosity Mindset, A Journey to Business Success by Raising Your Confidence, Value, and Prices. If you're a services provider and you've got issues around understanding your value, the value you give to clients, and pricing to that value, this book may be for you. Go to thegenerositymindset.com to learn more. Also, if you're in the North Fulton area and you don't know about Casa Nova Italian Restaurant, I'm about to make your day and your stomach as well. So Casa Nova is a cook-to-order kitchen that was farm to table before farm to table was cool, folks. They've been around for 26 years, and they've been growing their own tomatoes, corn, peppers, zucchini, herbs in their garden for years and years. And that's why one reason why their food is so special. Go to CasaNovaRestaurant.com to learn more. And don't forget, they do fantastic catering. They've done great work for us, and we're so appreciative of them. And finally, I want to thank our audience. You have just supported us in so many different ways, and we are so grateful for you. You continue to share the show. You like us on social media. You give us supportive comments, send us great guests, and we appreciate you. We've up to show 770 or so for North Fulton Business Radio, and we've only gotten this far because of you and your support. So thank you for helping us and supporting us as we live into our mission to be the voice of business in the North Fulton region and beyond. So for my guest, Stephanie McGregor, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on North Fulton Business Radio.